I've decided to embark upon another series of videos on the subject of cryptocurrency. My other video series, which were the political series entitled The Hard Work Ahead, and the more religious videos, which was entitled What's to Come. And these videos, as with this new series that I'm going to embark upon, have been as the result of friends, neighbors, people that I work with or have worked with in the past, former colleagues, former clients, and students alike, who have had taken the opportunity whenever we were talking to ask my opinion about whether or not what I thought about cryptocurrency and whether or not I thought it was a good investment. And for the most part, I really have no opinion. I don't really know that much about it. And they seem to think that they should invest in it, and they're very seriously considering, especially people of my generation. I suppose you would call them the boomers. They're really thinking very seriously of getting involved, and they're very concerned. And there are two forces at work here. One, of course, is the idea of minimizing risk, and the other part is let's take advantage of something that can be very lucrative. And they're sort of torn between these two positions, and in some cases it's quite troubling. I decided instead of trying to talk to people on ad hoc, different occasions, under different conditions, different circumstances, and of course, because I usually don't remember from one conversation to the next what I said to the person before, I decided to set up a series of videos like I did for the politics and for the religious, and try to express my opinions and my thoughts on this subject, and then direct them to the videos online, and then we can have a conversation about what I said, and I'll have a better idea of what I said, and actually have a better idea of whether or not my opinions are valid, and whether or not I need to learn more, or whether or not I have it right. I don't know. So we're going to go down this road. We're going to get started. This video series I'm going to entitle "Crypto for Codgers." I'm an old codger, and I never thought I'd ever be saying that, but it's true. Many of my friends and colleagues and family members are as well. And we're sort of from the old school, the 1970s and 80s, were educated primarily in the 70s. And we had a whole different mindset on education, on news, information, and our opinions, which were formulated primarily through the experiences of the Vietnam War and Watergate, and even the AIDS epidemic, which happened in our sort of later part of our young period, our young adulthood. So we have different ways of looking at this whole picture, and the newer guys have a whole different mindset of looking at this information, primarily through the lens of the information age, as is expressed on the internet. So I'm hoping to maybe lend some of my 50 years experience as an accountant and as a technology instructor to give some opinion as to how I would approach this subject, and to research it and come up with some information that I feel can be useful for people who are seriously considering getting into this. I should say at the outset that I am not a financial advisor. I'm an accountant. I'm not a CPA, and but I've been in this business long enough to know some very important processes and principles that should be applied whenever dealing with anything that requires financial information, or the reliance on financial reports or financial opinions from independent sources on certain companies, investments, or even in the general area of crypto. I would say this, that from some of the accountants that I've known, that I've dealt with and talked to, who are actual CPAs and actually provide opinions on financial statements, financial information, many of them, like myself, retired, we agree that there is no standard method, or no standard principles, and no standard policies that have been, at this point, promulgated by the ASCPA or other regulatory agencies. So therefore, we really have actually no business at rendering opinions in this space. William Ray, who was the gentleman who took over the bankruptcy proceedings for the FTX, commented that he's never seen anything so in disarray and so unorganized in terms of financial information from an internal standpoint since the Enron debacle, and he said this surpasses the Enron debacle. And to say that he's not able to render a professional opinion as to what this financial information of this FTX organization has, or whether or not it's worthy of any consideration. He just says throw it all out. It's worthless. Everything that they've said about it, any information they have, or any kind of a so-called general ledger they may have or not have, it's worthless. He has to basically take the company from step one and rebuild it according to, I would imagine, his strategy would be to use standard accounting procedures. And that leads me to the to making the statement about what I believe are the standard accounting procedures that I have operated under, and I'm sure many all accountants are operating under, whether public accountants or internal auditors such as myself. These are things we learned first day in accounting school. And there are 5 important principles that you learn that have applied and have been valuable through the last 50 years that I am aware of, but may not apply today, unfortunately, but we may have to find a way to bring them back. And there are 5 of them: understandability, timeliness, or diligent chronology, independence, comparability, and conservatism. So let's go through them real quickly. Understandability is self-explanatory. Reports and financial information that is produced by an accounting operation within a company and then verified and audited by a certified public accounting firm, for which an opinion is rendered on the accuracy or the dependability of that information, must be understandable to the average person in any discipline. Anybody should be able to take a financial statement from any company and be able to read it, understand it, and have a clear picture of what that information is communicating to or attempting to communicate. And if not, you should be able to get to someone who can reasonably determine for you and explain to you what this information is telling you. And that is important, especially if you're making decisions on investment, loans, dealing with them on a financial basis, working for them as an employee, or taking them on as a customer. This is important information, and you need to be able to understand it. Along with that goes what we call timeliness or diligent chronology. That is, that the information that's assembled and presented is presented in a timely manner, that the transactions and that the financial statements and notes that accompany the financial statements of the company are timely and relevant to the particular accounting period that you're in and that you're talking about, whether whether it be quarterly or yearly or even monthly. Old information usually is not good information, and it can lead to bad outcomes. You want to make sure that the information is timely. Independence, again, that should be pretty self-explanatory as well, that the people that are assembling these financial statements are usually part of the company and usually fall under the control and the oversight of the executive office of the corporation or company that they're working for. And as such, there's the tendency, and I've experienced this myself, to try to manipulate or try to, in some ways, present information in a way that favors the company and hides sort of the problems that may exist. And that is true of any company and even in countries, okay, even in our own country. We tend to try to, they say, cook the numbers to make it look better than it is. And you need an outside independent person to come in that knows what they're looking at, knows what questions to ask, and knows how to test those transactions and to test the feasibility of the assumptions that are made to see whether or not they're accurate. The fourth one is comparability. These reports and analyses that come out of these financial organizations, these financial offices of these companies must be presented in a way that is easily comparable to other like entities, comparing apples and oranges. You should be able to take financial statements from any a number of cryptocurrency exchanges and cryptocurrency coins and compare them, compare results. They should have the same kinds of measurements, the same kinds of information that they present, that you can compare almost, if possible, line item by line item. So you can tell how they compare and how they measure up to other currencies and other exchanges and other organizations within the crypto space. So comparability is a big one. And lastly, and most importantly of all, is conservatism. And conservatism means that an accountant, at least certified public accountant who analyzes and who renders opinions on these financial statements and financial information, must make sure that this information is presented in a conservative way. And I think we might have a problem with that because, as we know, cryptocurrency is based, a lot of it is based on media hype and wild and sometimes incredibly unbelievable assumptions and celebrities and endorsements, and everyone gets excited, and you might hear one or two or a handful of people who made millions and millions of dollars, but you don't hear about the millions of people who either lost money or have pretty much have currencies that are less valuable than when they purchased them. And that's because we don't exercise conservatism in these spaces. What pushes this market is based on hype, is based on excitement, getting people excited and getting them into it without them taking the time to do due diligence and to study and to research what it is they're investing in, why they're investing in it, and whether or not it's a good investment for them. Unfortunately, this is where we're at right now, and it's very hard to go back and reconstruct some of these financial statements, these financial reports and renderings that are coming out of these organizations, including Bitcoin, which is the chief one right now, and to be able to get a solid set of financial statements. In fact, they probably don't have financial statements as we understand them, or historically understand them, but they have evaluations. And what you look at is a spreadsheet of evaluations. What is this currency trading at right now? It's like the stock market. The stock market doesn't really have a balance sheet or income statement that you can look at and decide what's the real value of that particular market. But you're not really buying the market. You're buying a particular share in that market, a particular company's share in that market. And they have financial statements and they have financial information that you can go to and refer to and have assurances from duly licensed and duly appointed financial professionals who can render an opinion that is trustworthy and that you can rely on that information. That's not always true either. We've seen that happen in the last 20, 30 years with such things as Enron and the Madoff scandal and others that we probably don't even know about yet. But it's all we have right now. And so my strategy right now, at least in the beginning, and maybe whistling in the wind, is to try to find a way to apply some of these accounting standards that I have used in my career to the crypto space, and try to find some way to implement some of this, so that maybe we can come up with a standard, a place that we can at least begin to audit and have reliance on, that the information that we're receiving is clear, concise, and dependable. So this is where I'm coming from right now, and I know not a lot of people are very first, many people don't understand what I'm talking about, and they look at me, sort of like they looked at me when I showed my other videos. But I think they're getting the picture, that we really don't know what we're doing. We really don't know what we're investing in. And we're hoping, we got our fingers crossed. And we're relying a lot on the testament of other people, many of whom have a vested interest in us investing in that particular cryptocurrency, because they're invested. And that's not a good way to make your investment decisions. So I'm going to start this process, and I'm going to start the very basics, the very beginning of crypto. And I'm going to make one last disclosure, and that is I'm going to try very hard to be neutral and not to in any way hype cryptocurrency or in any way denigrate it. I do think there's a future in crypto, yes. I am not against it at all. And if you're going to invest in cryptocurrency, my advice to you is, number one, invest very carefully. Only invest what you can afford to lose, because chances are very great you may lose money in that investment. And also to make sure that you understand what it is you're looking at, and make sure you have enough information to make the decision when to sell, when to buy, or when to stay in. And understand that this is kind of a crapshoot at this point, unfortunately, but that's part of the fun, and that's part of the future of crypto. But I think it's going to, in some way, it's going to resolve itself into a real standard model. But the first thing we got to understand is, and we got to go back to the very beginning, and that is, what the heck is cryptocurrency? And that's going to be our first video following this one. Thanks a lot.